Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Your life isn't being destroyed by bad luck, toxic people, or unfair circumstances. It's being destroyed by your own negative thinking. Every single day you are having silent conversations with yourself that either build your future or burn it down, and most of you are doing without even realizing it. Negative thinking is like a virus. It spreads quietly, infecting everything it touches. It starts small. You wake up tired. You say, I can't do this. You fail once. You whisper, maybe I'm not good enough. You see someone else succeed, and suddenly you think, people like me never get that lucky. One negative thought becomes two become 10, and before you know it, you've built a mental prison made out of your own doubts. That's how it works. It never attacks you all at once. It erodes you piece by piece. And here's the truth. Negativity doesn't just stay in your head. It shows up in your tone, your energy, your decisions, your relationship. It shapes the way you see the world. You start expecting things to go wrong. You stop taking risks. You stop trusting people. You stop believing in yourself. You think you're protecting yourself from pain, but what you're really doing is building walls that keep you trapped inside your own fear. You have to understand something powerful. Your environment is constantly feeding your thoughts, the people you talk to, the content you consume, the music you listen to, even the social media you scroll. All of it is programming your mindset. You can't expect to stay positive if you're living in a negative ecosystem, if every conversation around you is gossip, complaint, or fear. Don't be surprised when your dreams start to feel impossible. You can't build a millionaire mindset around broke energy. You can't build confidence around people who laugh at ambition. Sometimes it's not that you're weak, it's that you're surrounded by emotional pollution. But here's where most people get stuck. They don't realize they're addicted to their negativity. They find comfort in complaining. It gives them an excuse. If you say it's never going to work, then you don't have to try. If you say no one supports me, you don't have to be disciplined. If you say, I've already failed, you don't have to take responsibility. Negative thinking protects your ego from being hurt again. It keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. And that's what's really destroying people. Not failure, but fear disguised as logic. You call it being realistic. You call it playing it safe. But let's be honest. You're just afraid to find out how powerful you could actually become if you stop listening to that voice in your head. The same voice that says, you're not ready, you're not smart enough, you're too late, or it's too hard. That voice isn't protecting you, it's lying to you, and every time you believe it, it wins. The only way to break that cycle isn't by reading another motivational quote or waiting for the perfect mindset to appear. You don't think your way out of negativity, you act your way out the moment you start moving, doing, building, creating. You force your brain to adjust. Action creates momentum, and momentum kills doubt. When you take control of your habits, your thoughts follow. When you start your day with discipline, even something small like waking up early or going to the gym, you're not just training your body, you're training your mind to obey you, not your emotions. You have to rewire your mind through action. Replace I can with I'll try. Replace what if it fails with what if it works. Replace I'm not good enough with I'm still learning. It sounds simple, but it's how every winner operates. They don't wait until they feel confident. They act until confidence shows up. They don't wait for perfect timing. They move and make the timing perfect. Every successful person you've ever admired had one thing in common. They refused to let negativity make their decisions. They still had fear, they still had doubt, they still had bad days, but they didn't let those thoughts sit in their mind rent-free. They replaced them with belief, with focus, with action. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're tired of being your own worst enemy, then here's the challenge. Audit your thoughts, audit your environment, audit your conversations. Cut out every source of negativity that drains your drive. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Negativity doesn't disappear overnight, but every time you choose discipline over comfort, faith over fear, and gratitude over complaint, you are taking back control. You are rewiring your mind for growth, for progress, for greatness. At the end of the day, your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. Feed it right and it will build you an empire. Feed it wrong and it will destroy you from the inside out. The choice is yours. Negativity is not just a bad mood, it's a mental virus, and like any virus, it spreads silently, infects quickly, and weakens everything it touches. The most dangerous part is that it doesn't announce its arrival. It starts quietly with one small thought, I'm not enough, this will never work, why? Even try. And before you know it, that one toxic idea begins multiplying. It shows up in your attitude, your decisions, your relationships, and even in the way you see the world. Think about it. When a computer catches a virus, it doesn't explode instantly. It slows down. It starts to lag. It glitches eventually. It stops working. The same thing happens to your mind. You stop dreaming big. You stop believing that things can change. You stop seeing opportunities that were once right in front of you. Negativity eats away at your confidence. The same way rust eats away at steel. It doesn't destroy you in one hit. It weakens you over time until you start believing the worst about everything, including yourself. The scary part is how easily it spreads spend enough time around negative people, their doubts become your doubts. Hear enough complaining, and soon you'll find yourself complaining too. You'll start to mirror the energy you're around because negativity loves company. It thrives in conversations where everyone is a victim, where every idea is shot down, where every dream is laughed at. It's contagious. And the moment you start accepting it as normal, it becomes part of your identity. You're no longer just thinking negatively. You become a negative thinker. Negativity is clever. It disguises itself as logic. It tells you that being cautious is wise, that doubting yourself is humble, that expecting the worst means you'll never be disappointed. But what it's really doing is protecting you from progress. It convinces you not to try so you never fail, not to hope so you're never hurt, not to care so you're never disappointed. It makes you think you're being smart, when in reality, it's stealing your courage. And here's the truth most people never admit. Negative thinking feels good at first. It gives you a reason to quit. It gives you an excuse for why things aren't working. It makes failure easier to justify. But over time, it rots you from the inside. You lose your drive, you lose your hunger, you lose that spark that once made you believe anything was possible. Every day you allow negativity to live in your mind, it collects rent in the form of peace, focus, and ambition. It drains your energy and replaces it with fear, self-doubt, and frustration. You cannot grow while you're being poisoned by your own thoughts. The same mind that can create excuses can also create results, but you have to choose what you feed it. If you keep feeding your mind with doubt, you'll live a doubtful life. If you keep feeding it with belief, you'll start to see possibilities again. It's that simple. The virus of negativity loses power. The moment you stop giving it attention, the moment you stop rehearsing your pain and start focusing on your purpose, you begin to heal. So protect your mind like you protect your body from a deadly infection. Don't let every opinion, fear, or failure enter your system unchecked. Guard your thoughts, guard your peace, because if negativity lives in your head long enough, it will destroy your potential before you ever have the chance to see what you're truly capable of. Your environment is feeding your thoughts every single day, whether you realize it or not. The way you think, the way you talk to yourself, even the way you see the world, all of it is being shaped by what you surround yourself with. Your mind is not a vacuum. It absorbs energy, emotion, and influence from everything around you. That means your friends, your family, your workplace, your social media feed, your music, your habits, they're all feeding your mindset. The question is, what are you feeding? You can't expect to live a positive, disciplined, confident life if your environment is negative, lazy, and filled with excuses. You can't plant seeds of success in toxic soil and expect them to grow. Every conversation you have, every video you watch, every song you listen to, it's programming your subconscious mind. Most people think their mindset is a reflection of their personality, but it's really a reflection of their surroundings. You don't think for yourself until you start questioning what your environment has been teaching you. If you're constantly around people who complain about life, guess what happens? You start complaining too. You start seeing problems instead of solutions. You start thinking that struggle is permanent, success is impossible. If the people around you mock ambition, you'll start toning yours down to fit in. If everyone around you is comfortable being average, they'll make you feel guilty for wanting more. That's how powerful your environment is. It can convince you that settling is normal, but the same rule works the other way. Surround yourself with people who are driven, and you'll start thinking bigger. Spend time with people who talk about ideas instead of gossip, and you'll start using your energy to create, not complain. When you hear success stories daily, your mind starts believing that it's possible for you too. That's not motivational fluff. That's psychology. The mind adapts to the environment it's in. You become what you're around long before you realize it. Think about this. You could be the most ambitious person in the world, but if you stay in a room full of negativity long enough, your mindset will start to rot. Energy is contagious. If everyone around you is tired, bitter, or jealous, that energy will eventually become yours. That's why so many people lose focus. They're trying to grow in a place that's choking their potential. It's like trying to breathe fresh air in a room full of smoke. No matter how much willpower you have, eventually you suffocate. Sometimes the hardest part of growth isn't learning new habits. It's unlearning the environment that made you small. It's walking away from circles that drain you, content that distracts you, and comfort zones that blind you. You don't have to hate anyone or cut everyone off, but you do have to protect your peace. You have to decide what kind of energy you're willing to allow into your mind. If your environment isn't challenging you, inspiring you, or pushing you to level up, then it's slowly destroying you. You cannot build a powerful mindset in a weak atmosphere. You cannot expect clarity when your surroundings are chaotic. You cannot stay hungry when everyone around you is full of excuses. So look around your life right now. Who's feeding your thoughts? What's shaping your beliefs? What kind of energy do you wake up to every day? Because your environment is either watering your potential or poisoning it. Choose carefully what you allow in, because sooner or later what surrounds you will become what defines you. Most people don't realize but they're addicted to pessimism. They don't just think negatively, they depend on it. It's their emotional comfort zone. They've rehearsed disappointment so many times that hope feels dangerous. Pessimism becomes their shield, their identity, their way of staying safe from pain. But what they don't see is that the same mindset protecting them from getting hurt is also preventing them from ever being happy. When you're addicted to pessimism, you don't see it as a problem. You see it as being realistic. You convince yourself that expecting the worst is smart, that not getting your hopes up means you'll never be disappointed. You tell yourself you're just being careful, when in truth you've trained your brain to believe that bad things are inevitable. You built a mindset where success feels suspicious and peace feels temporary. So even when something good happens, you start looking for the catch. You wait for it to fall apart. And by doing that, you end up destroying your own joy before life ever gets the chance to. The addiction to pessimism works like any other addiction. It gives you a sense of control. When you say it won't work, you no longer have to face the pressure of trying. When you say people always disappoint me, you don't have to risk trusting anyone. When you say I'm just unlucky, you don't have to take responsibility for your choices. It feels safe. It feels comfortable. But comfort doesn't lead to growth. It leads to decay. Pessimism disguises itself as wisdom. It makes you believe you're protecting yourself from failure, when in fact, you're ensuring it, because nobody gives their best effort when they've already decided it won't matter. You start pulling back, doing less, settling more, all because deep down, you've accepted defeat before the game even began. You call it self-protection, but really it's self-sabotage in disguise. And the more you practice, the more natural it feels. Your brain loves patterns. And once it learns to focus on the negative, it'll keep finding reasons to confirm it. You'll notice what's wrong before you notice what's right. You'll remember the one person who hurt you and forget the 10 who cared. You'll focus on every failure and overlook every small victory. That's how pessimism traps. By feeding you selective evidence that life is always against you. But here's the truth. Pessimism is a lie. It's a story you keep repeating because it gives you a sense of identity. You tell yourself you're unlucky, unworthy, or doomed to fail. And after saying it enough times, you start to believe it's reality. You don't realize that your belief is shaping the very outcomes you fear. When you expect disappointment, you attract it. When you assume failure, you subconsciously create conditions for it. You're not cursed. You're conditioned. Breaking this addiction, ISM, isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about reclaiming your perspective. It's about teaching your mind to stop assuming the worst and start preparing for the best. It's not blind optimism. It's disciplined optimism. The kind that says, yes, things could go wrong, but I'll handle it when they do. It's confidence without denial. It's hope without naivety. You have to understand. Pessimism might make you feel safe, but it also keeps you small. It convinces you not to try, not to trust, not to dream. It keeps you in a cage built out of your own doubts. You were not designed to live like that. You were built to take chances, to grow, to experience failure and rise from it. That's how humans evolve. Not by avoiding pain, but by using it to build strength. So if you want to change your life, you have to break your addiction to pessimism. Stop feeding your fear. Stop rehearsing failure in your mind before it even happens. Start catching yourself when you expect the worst and challenge that thought. Ask yourself, what if it actually works out? Because the moment you start believing that something good can happen, you give yourself permission to make it happen. You can't live a powerful life with a powerless mindset. Pessimism doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. The day you stop letting it control your thoughts is the day you start living with freedom, clarity, and courage again. You can't think your way out of negativity. You have to act your way out. The mind doesn't change because you read another quote or listen to another speech. It changes when you start doing things that challenge the story you've been telling yourself. You can't rewire your brain through wishful thinking. You rewire it through consistent, intentional action. Action is the medicine that cures the infection of negative thinking. Most people wait till they feel ready. They say they'll start when they have more confidence, more clarity, or more motivation, but that day never comes. You don't wait for motivation. You create it. The moment you take action, even a small one, something shifts in your psychology. You start proving to your brain that you're not powerless, you're not stuck, you're in control. That's how you begin to rewire your thinking. By showing your mind through behavior that you are capable, not just by telling it. When you sit in your head too long, you feed doubt. The longer you think about doing something, the more reasons you'll find not to do it. Action cuts through that noise. It silences fear because fear can't survive movement. The moment you take that first step, make that call, hit the gym, start that business, have that difficult conversation, your brain begins to adapt. It starts building new pathways that associate effort with empowerment instead of anxiety. That's real mental rewiring. You have to understand that. Your habits are stronger than your emotions. You might not always feel confident, but if you act with discipline long enough, confidence will follow. You might not always feel grateful, But if you practice gratitude daily, your brain will eventually default to appreciation instead of scarcity. You might not always feel hopeful, but if you keep moving toward progress, your mind will begin to expect growth instead of loss. Thoughts follow behavior, not the other way around. That's why people who wait to feel positive never change. They wait for an emotion that only comes after action. You can't sit in a dark room and think your way into the light. You have to get up and turn on the switch. The same goes for your mindset. Movement activates clarity. Every time you do something difficult, something your old self would have avoided, you're sending a signal to your brain that says we're not who we used to be. That's the start of transformation. Rewiring your mind means replacing reaction with intention. It's about catching yourself when negativity tries to take over and responding differently. When your brain says, I can't do this, you don't argue with it, you do it anyway. When it says, it's too late, you prove it wrong by starting now. Every time you do what fear tells you not to, you weaken that old circuit and strengthen a new one. You'll notice something powerful start to happen. The more you act, the less control negativity has over you. The voice that used to paralyze you gets quieter. The resistance that used to hold you back loses its grip. You start to feel lighter, stronger, clearer. You begin to trust yourself again. Not because you've read something new, but because you've done something new. And that's the ultimate truth. The only way to truly change your life is to act differently than you did yesterday. Every morning you wake up, you have a choice. Repeat the same thoughts or rewrite them through new actions. Discipline, consistency, gratitude, service. These aren't just habits, they're rewiring tools. The more you use them, the more powerful your mind becomes. Don't underestimate small actions. One disciplined decision today can shift your trajectory forever. One moment of courage can erase years of fear. One act of self-control can remind you that you're not your past. Every time you take action aligned with who you want to become, you're building a new version of yourself. Neuron by neuron, thought by thought, decision by decision. So stop waiting for the right mindset to show up. Move first, act first, build momentum, and let momentum rebuild your mind. Because the truth is, transformation doesn't start with belief. It starts with action. And the moment you act, you'll realize you were never powerless. You were just unpracticed. At some point, you have to stop blaming the world and start looking in the mirror. The real battle has never been out there. It's always been inside your own head. Negative thinking has been stealing your confidence, your peace, and your potential. One thought at a time. It's been convincing you that your limits are facts when they're really just habits of thought. But now you know the truth. Negativity is a virus. Your environment is feeding it. You've been addicted to its comfort. And the only way out is through discipline, consistent action. You can't change your life until you change the way you think. And you can't change the way you think until you start acting like the person you want to become. Every small decision, every brave choice, every moment you choose faith over fear, it's all rewired in your mind. That's how transformation happens, slowly, quietly, through daily action that proves to your brain that you're no longer controlled by negativity. Life isn't going to wait for you to feel ready. The clock doesn't stop for your excuses. The only question that matters is this. Are you going to keep feeding the same thoughts that are destroying you, or are you finally going to build new ones that set you free? The power has always been in your hands. You decide what to think. You decide what to believe. You decide what to do next. You can keep letting negativity destroy you, or you can rise, rebuild, and become everything you were meant to be. The moment you take back control of your thoughts, you take back control of your life. Because when your mind changes, everything changes.